Imagine it's early morning and you wake up to the sound of your phone's alarm. Instinctively, before you even sit up, you reach for your phone. In just a few seconds, you're scrolling through notifications, messages, social media updates, and emails. Without even realizing it, your mind has already been pulled in multiple directions. This has become such a normal part of our lives that we hardly notice it happening anymore. The question we need to ask ourselves is, what impact is this constant state of distraction having on our minds, on our ability to focus, and ultimately on our sense of well-being? In today's world, we are more connected than ever before. Our devices keep us plugged into an endless stream of information, but at the same time, they pull us away from the present moment. Each notification, each email, each social media post takes us further away from the here and now. But what have we really gained from this constant connection? And more importantly, what have we lost? This relentless engagement with the digital world has cost us something invaluable: our ability to be fully present in the moment, to experience life as it's happening, and to connect meaningfully with the world around us. We live in a time when our attention is a commodity, and tech companies have become masters at capturing and holding on to it. Every second we spend on their platforms generates revenue, which is why these apps and websites are designed to keep us scrolling for as long as possible. Every like, every share, every notification is engineered to trigger a small hit of dopamine in our brains, making us crave more. Dopamine, often referred to as the brain's pleasure chemical, is actually more of a reward-seeking neurotransmitter. It pushes us to seek out novelty and keeps us coming back for more, even when the rewards are inconsistent or unpredictable. This is why it's so easy to lose track of time when you're scrolling through Instagram or watching videos on YouTube. You're not just consuming content, you're feeding a craving that your brain has developed over time. This constant engagement with our devices is changing the way our brains function. Neuroscientists have discovered that frequent task switching, jumping between apps, messages, and notifications actually weakens our brain's ability to focus and sustain attention. It's as though our brains are being rewired to handle only short bursts of focus, which makes it harder to engage in deep, meaningful work or even enjoy a quiet moment without distraction. This phenomenon is known as neuroplasticity, and while it allows our brains to adapt to new environments and behaviors, it also means that the habits we reinforce every day are shaping the way we think, feel, and experience the world. The average person checks their phone about 96 times a day, according to a recent study. That's roughly once every 10 minutes, and every time we check our phones, we lose a little bit of focus, a little bit of presence. What we often fail to realize is that these small interruptions add up. Studies from the University of California show that after we're interrupted, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus on the original task. So every time you check your phone in the middle of working on something important, you're not just losing a few seconds, you're losing almost half an hour of deep, focused work. Multiply that by the number of times you check your phone in a day, and it becomes clear why so many of us feel constantly distracted and mentally exhausted. But the effects of this constant distraction go beyond just productivity. Our mental health is suffering as well. Social media, in particular, has been linked to increased feelings of anxiety, depression, and inadequacy. When we spend hours scrolling through carefully curated images and posts, we start to compare ourselves to others, often feeling like we don't measure up. This comparison can lead to what's known as FOMO, the fear of missing out, which in turn creates a cycle of anxiety and stress. The more we engage with these platforms, the more we feel the need to check in, to see what everyone else is doing, and to make sure we're not being left behind. This constant state of hypervigilance is exhausting, both mentally and emotionally. At its core, the problem is that we are no longer present. Our minds are constantly jumping between the past and the future, rarely resting in the present moment. We worry about what's to come, dwell on what's already happened, and in doing so, we miss out on the richness of life as it's happening right now. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing your full attention to the present moment, without judgment and without distraction. It's about being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, and fully engaging with them in a way that allows you to experience life more deeply and fully. Mindfulness isn't about withdrawing from the world or avoiding technology altogether. It's about learning how to live in the modern world in a more intentional, balanced way. It's about taking back control of your attention so you can choose how to engage with the world around you, rather than being constantly pulled in different directions by external forces. And the beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require a huge time commitment. You don't need to meditate for hours each day or go on a retreat to practice mindfulness. In fact, it's something you can start doing right now, in small, simple ways. Let's begin with something we all do automatically: breathing. Breathing is one of the most powerful tools we have for bringing ourselves back to the present moment. It's something we do every second of every day. But when we bring mindful attention to our breath, it becomes a powerful anchor for our awareness. Right now, wherever you are, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for just a moment, and then slowly exhale through your mouth. As you breathe, notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the expansion of your lungs, and the release of tension as you exhale. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This simple practice of mindful breathing can have a profound effect on your mental state. It's a way to pause, take a step back from the chaos around you, and reconnect with the present moment. And the beauty of it is that you can do it anywhere. Whether you're sitting at your desk, stuck in traffic, or lying in bed before sleep, mindful breathing can help you find calm in the midst of whatever is happening around you. The next time you feel overwhelmed or distracted, take just 1 minute to focus on your breathing. You'll be surprised at how quickly it can shift your mood and help you regain clarity and focus. But mindfulness goes beyond just breathing. It's about being fully present in every moment, whether you're eating, walking, working, or even talking to someone. Let's take mindful eating as an example. In today's fast-paced world, we often eat on autopilot. We rush through meals, barely tasting our food, distracted by our phones or the TV. But when you practice mindful eating, you slow down and fully engage with the experience of eating. The next time you sit down for a meal, try this. Before you take your first bite, pause. Look at your food. Notice the colors, the textures, the smells. When you take your first bite, do so slowly, paying attention to the flavors and sensations in your mouth. Chew thoroughly, savoring each bite. As you eat, try to stay fully present with your food, resisting the urge to check your phone or think about what you need to do later. Mindful eating not only enhances your enjoyment of food, but it also helps you develop a healthier relationship with eating. By slowing down and paying attention to your body's signals, you become more attuned to when you're truly hungry and when you're full. This can prevent overeating and help you make more conscious choices about what and how much to eat. It's a simple practice, but it can have a profound impact on your health and well-being. Another way to practice mindfulness is through mindful walking. Walking is something we do every day, but how often are we fully present as we do it? Most of the time, we're thinking about where we're going, what we need to do next, or what happened earlier in the day. But mindful walking invites you to bring your attention to the act of walking itself. The next time you go for a walk, whether it's outside or just around your home, try to focus fully on the experience. Notice the feeling of your feet touching the ground with each step. Pay attention to the rhythm of your walk, the movement of your body, and the sensation of the air on your skin. If you're outside, take in your surroundings. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? As you walk, let go of any thoughts or worries and simply enjoy the experience of moving through space. Mindful walking, like mindful breathing and eating, is a way to bring yourself back to the present moment. And the more you practice these small moments of mindfulness, the easier it becomes to bring that same awareness into other areas of your life. You'll find that over time you become more focused, more present, and more in tune with your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings. The power of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. It's not about changing your circumstances or eliminating distractions altogether. It's about changing how you relate to those distractions. It's about cultivating a sense of calm, focus, and clarity, no matter what's happening around you. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. But how does mindfulness actually change the brain? This is where things get really interesting. When you practice mindfulness regularly, you're not just improving your mental state in the moment, you're actually rewiring your brain. Neuroscientists have discovered that mindfulness strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and emotional regulation. At the same time, it reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which is responsible for the fight or flight response. This means that over time, people who practice mindfulness are less reactive to stress and more able to approach challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. Studies from Harvard University have shown that just 8 weeks of mindfulness practice can lead to measurable changes in the brain. These changes include increased gray matter in areas related to learning, memory, and emotional regulation. This is powerful evidence that mindfulness doesn't just make you feel better in the moment, it has lasting effects on your brain's structure and function. The concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout life, is at the heart of how mindfulness works. When you engage in mindfulness practices, you're essentially training your brain to be more present, more focused, and less reactive. Over time, this training strengthens the connections between different parts of the brain, making it easier to manage stress, regulate emotions, and stay focused on what matters. But mindfulness isn't just about improving your mental performance or reducing stress, it also enhances your ability to connect with others. Research shows that mindfulness increases empathy and compassion by activating regions of the brain associated with understanding other people's emotions. This means that when you practice mindfulness, you're not only improving your own well-being, you are also becoming more attuned to the needs and emotions of those around you. In today's fast-paced world, where so much of our communication happens through screens, developing deeper, more meaningful connections can be a challenge. But by practicing mindfulness, you can learn to listen more deeply, respond more thoughtfully, and cultivate more empathy in your relationships. Whether it's with friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers, mindfulness helps you stay present and engaged in your interactions, fostering a sense of connection and understanding that's often missing in our digital interactions. As we've seen, the benefits of mindfulness extend far beyond stress reduction. It improves mental health, emotional resilience, and interpersonal relationships. But perhaps the most profound impact of mindfulness is the way it helps us reconnect with the present moment. In a world that's constantly pulling us in different directions, mindfulness offers a way to slow down, tune in, and truly experience life as it happens. As we explore mindfulness and its role in rewiring the brain, it's important to acknowledge the incredible adaptability of the human mind. The concept of neuroplasticity tells us that the brain is not fixed, it's malleable. This means that every time we practice mindfulness, we're shaping the brain in ways that enhance our ability to focus, regulate emotions, and respond to stress more effectively. But this also means that every time we allow ourselves to be distracted, pulled into the endless cycle of digital engagement, we're reinforcing habits of mind that can make us more anxious, more stressed, and less capable of handling the demands of modern life. Think about it this way. If you spend hours every day mindlessly scrolling through social media, you're training your brain to become adept at short bursts of attention. You're reinforcing patterns of distraction, which over time make it harder for you to concentrate on anything for long periods of time. On the other hand, when you engage in mindfulness practices, even for just a few minutes a day, you're training your brain to stay focused, to observe your thoughts without judgment, and to remain calm in the face of stress. Over time, these practices can fundamentally change the way your brain functions, helping you to navigate the challenges of modern life with greater ease and resilience. One of the most fascinating areas of research on mindfulness is its impact on the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear and emotional reactions. When we're under stress, the amygdala is activated, triggering the fight or flight response. This response was incredibly useful for our ancestors, helping them to react quickly to danger, but in today's world, it often leads to chronic stress and anxiety. The good news is that mindfulness has been shown to reduce the size and activity of the amygdala. This means that people who practice mindfulness regularly are less reactive to stress. They're able to pause, assess the situation, and respond thoughtfully, rather than being overwhelmed by fear or anxiety. In contrast, mindfulness strengthens the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for executive functions like decision-making, impulse control, and self-awareness. This part of the brain is often referred to as the CEO of the brain because it helps us regulate our emotions and behaviors. When the prefrontal cortex is strong, we're better able to stay focused, make rational decisions, and resist impulsive reactions. By practicing mindfulness, we're essentially giving our prefrontal cortex a workout, strengthening our ability to stay calm, focused, and grounded, even in the face of stress. Another fascinating finding is that mindfulness improves the connectivity between different regions of the brain, particularly between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. This enhanced connectivity means that the rational, decision-making parts of the brain are better able to regulate the emotional, reactive parts. In other words, mindfulness helps create a buffer between stimulus and response, giving us the space to choose how we want to react, rather than being driven by automatic emotional reactions. Imagine a stressful situation at work. Without mindfulness, your amygdala might trigger a stress response, causing you to react impulsively. Maybe you send a hasty, angry email, or you say something you later regret. But with mindfulness, your prefrontal cortex is more engaged, allowing you to pause, take a breath, and respond more thoughtfully. This ability to create a moment of pause can be incredibly powerful, not only in the workplace, but in all areas of life. But the benefits of mindfulness don't stop at stress reduction. Research has shown that mindfulness also enhances emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is critical for building strong relationships, both personally and professionally. When we practice mindfulness, we become more attuned to our own emotional states, which in turn makes us more empathetic and compassionate toward others. We're better able to listen deeply, respond thoughtfully, and connect with people on a deeper level. This is why mindfulness is now being embraced by many successful leaders and organizations. In today's fast-paced, high-pressure work environments, mindfulness offers a way to stay grounded, make better decisions, and foster a more positive, collaborative work culture. Companies like Google, Intel, and General Mills have integrated mindfulness programs into their corporate culture, recognizing that mindfulness not only enhances employee well-being but also improves productivity, creativity, and teamwork. One of the most popular mindfulness-based programs in the corporate world is Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, MBSR. Developed by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn in the 1970s, MBSR is an 8-week program designed to help people manage stress, anxiety, pain, and illness through mindfulness meditation. It's now widely used in hospitals, schools, and workplaces around the world, and has been the subject of numerous scientific studies. These studies show that MBSR not only reduces stress and anxiety, but also improves focus, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. The success of MBSR highlights the profound impact that mindfulness can have on both mental and physical health. People who complete the program often report feeling more resilient, more focused, and better equipped to handle the challenges of daily life. And the benefits aren't just psychological. Research shows that mindfulness can also lower blood pressure, improve sleep quality, and even boost the immune system. Another mindfulness-based program that has gained significant attention is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT. While MBSR focuses primarily on stress reduction, MBCT was developed specifically to help people who suffer from recurrent depression. It combines mindfulness practices with cognitive behavioral techniques to break the cycle of negative thinking that often leads to depressive episodes. Studies show that MBCT is as effective as medication in preventing relapse in people with recurrent depression, and it has the added benefit of teaching individuals how to manage their own mental health without relying solely on external interventions. The idea behind MBCT is simple. By becoming aware of negative thought patterns as they arise, individuals can prevent themselves from spiraling into depression. Mindfulness helps them observe their thoughts without getting caught up in them, creating a sense of distance between the thinker and the thought. This allows them to recognize that their thoughts are just mental events, not facts, and that they have the power to choose how to respond to them. Over time, this practice can dramatically reduce the frequency and intensity of depressive episodes. What makes both MBSR and MBCT so powerful is that they empower individuals to take control of their own mental health. Rather than waiting for stress or depression to overwhelm them, people who practice mindfulness learn to recognize the early signs of distress and take proactive steps to manage it. This sense of agency is incredibly empowering and can make a profound difference in how people experience and respond to life's challenges. But how do we bring mindfulness into our daily lives in a way that feels practical and sustainable? The answer lies in small, consistent practices. You don't need to meditate for hours each day to experience the benefits of mindfulness. In fact, the most effective way to integrate mindfulness into your life is to start small and build from there. Let's begin with something as simple as mindful breathing. We've already touched on this practice, but it's worth emphasizing just how powerful it can be. The next time you feel stressed, overwhelmed, or distracted, take a moment to pause and focus on your breath. Breathing slowly and deeply through your nose, feeling the air as it fills your lungs. Hold the breath for a moment, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. As you breathe, pay attention to the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Notice how your chest rises and falls, how your shoulders relax as you exhale. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to the breath. This simple practice can be done anytime, anywhere. Whether you're in a meeting, on the subway, or lying in bed at night, mindful breathing can help you reconnect with the present moment and calm your mind. The key is to practice regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Over time, you'll find that these small moments of mindfulness add up, creating a greater sense of calm, clarity, and focus in your life. Another powerful practice is mindful listening. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and distractions, even when we're in conversation with others. But mindful listening invites us to be fully present with the person we're speaking to, giving them our undivided attention. The next time you're having a conversation, try to listen with full awareness. Put away your phone, make eye contact, and really focus on what the other person is saying. Notice the tone of their voice, the emotions behind their words, and the nuances of the conversation. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring your attention back to the speaker. Mindful listening not only deepens your connection with others, but it also improves your ability to communicate effectively. When you listen mindfully, you're more likely to respond with empathy and understanding, which can strengthen your relationships and reduce misunderstandings. Mindful walking is another way to bring mindfulness into your daily routine. We all walk every day, but how often are we truly present as we do it? Most of the time, we're rushing from one place to another, caught up in thoughts about what we need to do next. But mindful walking invites you to slow down and fully experience the act of walking. The next time you go for a walk, focus on the sensation of your feet touching the ground with each step. Pay attention to the rhythm of your walk, the movement of your body, and the sensation of the air on your skin. If you're outside, take in your surroundings. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? As you walk, try to let go of any thoughts or worries, and simply enjoy the experience of moving through space. Mindful walking is a great way to break free from the constant mental chatter that often fills our minds. It's a way to reconnect with the physical world and ground yourself in the present moment. And like mindful breathing, it can be practiced anywhere, whether you're walking through the park, around your neighborhood, or even just pacing around your office. Mindful eating is another practice that can help you slow down and be more present in your daily life. In our busy world, many of us eat on autopilot, barely tasting our food as we rush through meals. But mindful eating invites you to savor each bite, paying attention to the flavors, textures, and sensations of the food. The next time you sit down for a meal, take a moment to look at your food before you start eating. Notice the colors, the smells, the textures. When you take your first bite, do so slowly, paying close attention to the taste and how it feels in your mouth. Chew thoroughly, savoring each bite. As you eat, try to stay fully present with your food, resisting the urge to check your phone or think about what you need to do later. Mindful eating not only enhances your enjoyment of food, but also helps you develop a healthier relationship with eating. By slowing down and paying attention to your body's signals, you're more likely to notice when you're truly hungry and when you're full, which can help prevent overeating. As we've explored, mindfulness is not just a tool for managing stress, it's a way of living that can transform how you experience the world. Whether it's through mindful breathing, walking, eating, or listening, the goal is to bring more awareness and presence into your daily life. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. As you continue to explore mindfulness in your daily life, you'll begin to notice subtle but profound changes in how you experience the world around you. The key is consistency. Just as you wouldn't expect to build physical strength by going to the gym once, the benefits of mindfulness come from regular, sustained practice. But unlike physical exercise, mindfulness doesn't require hours of your time. In fact, the beauty of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. You can integrate mindfulness into your life in small, manageable ways that build over time. And as you practice, you'll find that mindfulness becomes second nature, something that infuses all aspects of your life, from the mundane to the meaningful. Let's think about one of the most common activities we engage in each day: working. Whether you're working in an office, from home, or out in the field, work can be one of the most stressful and distracting parts of our lives. It's easy to get caught up in the pressure to perform, the constant influx of emails, meetings, and deadlines. But what if you could approach your work with a sense of calm focus, using mindfulness to not only reduce stress but also improve your productivity and satisfaction? Mindful work is about being fully present with the task at hand. Instead of multitasking, juggling multiple tasks at once, you focus on one thing at a time, giving it your full attention. Studies have shown that multitasking is actually less efficient than focusing on a single task, as it takes time for your brain to switch between different activities. When you're mindful in your work, you become more efficient because you're able to concentrate more deeply and avoid the mental fatigue that comes from constant task switching. The next time you sit down to work, try this. Before you begin, take a moment to center yourself. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to settle into the present moment. Set the intention to focus on just one task, without distraction. If your mind starts to wander or you feel the urge to check your phone or email, gently remind yourself to return to the task at hand. It's normal for your mind to wander, especially if you're used to juggling multiple things at once. The practice of mindfulness is about noticing when your attention drifts and bringing it back to the present moment. One of the most effective ways to cultivate mindfulness at work is by incorporating regular breaks into your day. It might seem counterintuitive, but taking short, mindful breaks can actually improve your productivity. When you work for long periods without rest, your brain becomes fatigued, making it harder to concentrate. But by stepping away from your work for a few minutes, whether to take a walk, stretch, or simply breathe, you allow your brain to reset, which improves your focus when you return to the task. Try setting a timer to remind yourself to take a 5-minute mindfulness break every hour. During this time, step away from your computer or workspace, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Allow yourself to rest in the present moment, letting go of any thoughts about work or the tasks ahead. You'll find that these small breaks can make a big difference in your energy levels and mental clarity. Another way to bring mindfulness into your workday is by practicing mindful communication. In today's fast-paced world, much of our communication happens through emails, texts, or instant messages. It's easy to fire off a quick response without fully considering what we're saying or how the other person might interpret it. But mindful communication invites you to slow down and be fully present in your interactions with others. Whether you're writing an email, having a conversation with a colleague, or attending a meeting, try to bring your full attention to the interaction. Listen deeply to what the other person is saying, without thinking about what you're going to say next or allowing your mind to wander. When it's your turn to speak or respond, take a moment to pause and consider your words carefully. Mindful communication can help you build stronger relationships, both at work and in your personal life. When you're fully present with the people you're interacting with, they feel heard and understood, which fosters trust and collaboration. And because you're taking the time to respond thoughtfully, you're less likely to make hasty decisions or say something you later regret. This practice of mindful communication is especially important in situations where emotions are running high, such as during a disagreement or a difficult conversation. When we're upset or frustrated, it's easy to react impulsively, saying things that can escalate the situation. But by practicing mindfulness, we create a space between the stimulus, the thing that triggered the emotion, and our response. In that space, we have the opportunity to choose how we want to respond, rather than reacting automatically. The next time you find yourself in a difficult conversation, try this. Before you respond, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Notice how you're feeling, whether it's frustration, anger, or anxiety, and allow yourself to acknowledge the emotion without judgment. Instead of reacting impulsively, ask yourself, what's the most mindful way to respond in this situation? By taking a moment to pause and reflect, you can choose a response that's grounded in mindfulness, rather than being driven by the heat of the moment. Mindfulness can also be incredibly helpful in managing stress at work. In a world where deadlines, meetings, and performance expectations can feel overwhelming, mindfulness offers a way to stay centered and calm, even in the midst of chaos. One powerful technique for managing stress is to practice mindfulness in the middle of the storm, when things feel particularly hectic and you're under pressure. Instead of letting the stress consume you, try to step back and observe your thoughts and feelings with curiosity. Notice the physical sensations of stress in your body, maybe a tightness in your chest or tension in your shoulders. Instead of trying to push the stress away, see if you can make space for it, allowing it to be there without resistance. Often, the act of simply acknowledging your stress can help reduce its intensity. Another effective technique is to practice gratitude in the midst of stress. When we're feeling overwhelmed, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong or what's causing the stress. But mindfulness invites us to shift our perspective and look for the things we can be grateful for, even in challenging situations. The next time you're feeling stressed at work, take a moment to pause and reflect on something you're grateful for. It could be something small, like a supportive colleague, or something bigger, like having the opportunity to work on a project that's meaningful to you. By cultivating gratitude, you can shift your focus away from the stress and toward the positive aspects of your life. Gratitude doesn't just reduce stress, it also helps you cultivate a sense of presence and contentment. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of more success, more recognition, more achievements. But mindfulness teaches us that true contentment comes not from achieving more, but from appreciating what we already have. By practicing gratitude regularly, you can begin to cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and well-being, regardless of external circumstances. Beyond work, mindfulness can also transform how you experience leisure time. In today's world, where we're constantly connected to our devices, it's easy for leisure time to feel just as distracting as work. We scroll through social media, binge watch TV shows, or play games on our phones, all the while feeling like we're not truly resting or enjoying our free time. Mindfulness offers a way to bring more intention and presence into your leisure activities, allowing you to fully savor and enjoy your downtime. For example, the next time you sit down to watch a movie or TV show, try to be fully present with the experience. Instead of multitasking, checking your phone, eating, or thinking about something else, focus solely on what you're watching. Notice the details of the story, the emotions of the characters, and the visual and auditory elements of the film. By being fully present, you'll find that you enjoy the experience more deeply and feel more rested afterward. Mindfulness can also enhance activities like reading, exercising, or spending time with loved ones. The key is to approach these activities with full awareness, rather than allowing your mind to be distracted by other things. When you're reading, try to immerse yourself fully in the book, paying attention to the words and the images they evoke in your mind. When you're exercising, focus on the movements of your body, the rhythm of your breath, and the sensation of your muscles working. When you're spending time with loved ones, be fully present with them, listening deeply and engaging in the moment without distractions. Mindfulness also invites us to be present in the quiet moments of life, the moments that often go unnoticed. Whether it's enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning, watching the sunrise, or simply sitting in silence, these moments offer an opportunity to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. By practicing mindfulness in these quiet moments, you can cultivate a sense of peace and stillness that carries over into the rest of your life. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is that it teaches us to embrace life as it is, rather than constantly striving for something different. In our culture, we're often taught to believe that happiness is something we achieve through external accomplishments, getting the promotion, buying the house, or reaching a certain milestone. But mindfulness reminds us that true happiness comes from within. It comes from being fully present in each moment, accepting life as it is, and finding joy in the simple, everyday experiences that make up our lives. As you continue to integrate mindfulness into your life, you may find that your relationship with time begins to shift. In today's world, time often feels like a scarce resource, something we're constantly running out of, something we never seem to have enough of. But mindfulness teaches us that time is not something we need to rush through. It's something we can fully experience in the present moment. When you're mindful, you're not worried about what's next on your to-do list or dwelling on what's already happened. You're fully engaged with the here and now, which can make even the simplest moments feel rich and meaningful. Imagine for a moment that you're sitting outside, watching the sunset. Instead of thinking about what you need to do tomorrow or replaying a conversation you had earlier in the day, you allow yourself to simply be present with the sunset. You notice the colors in the sky, the way the light changes as the sun dips below the horizon, the feeling of the cool evening air on your skin. In that moment, time seems to slow down, and you're fully immersed in the beauty of the present. This is the essence of mindfulness, being fully alive, fully present, in each moment of your life. Mindfulness also helps us let go of the constant striving for perfection. In our culture, there's a lot of pressure to be perfect, to have the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect life. But this pressure can create a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety. Mindfulness teaches us to let go of this need for perfection and to accept ourselves and our lives as they are. This doesn't mean we stop trying to improve or grow, but it means we approach life with a sense of acceptance and self-compassion, rather than constant judgment and striving. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see that life is not about achieving some ideal version of ourselves. It's about being present with who we are right now in this moment. It's about accepting the imperfections and challenges of life and finding peace in the midst of it all. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means recognizing that we don't have to wait for everything to be perfect in order to be happy. We can find happiness in the here and now, in the midst of whatever is happening in our lives. As you continue your mindfulness journey, remember that it's not about doing it perfectly. There will be times when your mind wanders, when you feel distracted or overwhelmed. That's okay. The practice of mindfulness is about noticing when this happens and gently bringing your attention back to the present moment again and again. Each time you do this, you're strengthening your ability to stay present, and that's where the real transformation happens. As you deepen your mindfulness practice, you'll start to notice something powerful. The way you experience stress will begin to change. Stress is an unavoidable part of life, but how we respond to it makes all the difference. Typically, when we experience stress, our minds jump into overdrive. We start thinking about all the worst-case scenarios, or we get caught in a loop of worry and anxiety. It's a familiar feeling. Your heart starts to race, your thoughts scatter, and it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But with mindfulness, you can learn to recognize these moments of stress as they arise and meet them with calm and clarity. Think about a time when you were under a lot of pressure. Maybe it was a work deadline, a personal challenge, or a difficult conversation with someone close to you. How did your body react? Did your muscles tense up? Did your mind start racing with all the things that could go wrong? These physical and mental reactions are your body's way of responding to perceived threats, activating the fight or flight response. This response is helpful in life or death situations, but in modern life, it often gets triggered by everyday stressors, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and anxious. Mindfulness offers a way to short-circuit this stress response. The next time you feel that familiar wave of stress building up, take a moment to pause. Instead of getting swept up in the anxiety, try to step back and observe what's happening. Notice the physical sensations of stress in your body. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest or a knot in your stomach. Notice the thoughts that are racing through your mind. But instead of getting caught up in these thoughts or trying to push them away, simply observe them with curiosity. Imagine you're watching a movie where the emotions and thoughts are on the screen, and you're sitting in the audience, witnessing them from a distance. This act of observation is at the heart of mindfulness. When you become aware of your stress without reacting to it, you create a sense of space around the experience. You're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. Instead, you can respond to them with calm and intention. You might even notice that the stress begins to lose its intensity when you stop fighting it. This is a paradox of mindfulness. By accepting what's happening in the present moment, we often find that the things we fear or resist have less power over us. As you practice this more often, you'll begin to develop what's known as stress resilience. Stress resilience is the ability to recover quickly from stressful situations and to handle challenges with greater ease. It's not about eliminating stress from your life. That's impossible. Rather, it's about changing how you relate to stress. Mindfulness teaches you that you can experience stress without being overwhelmed by it. You can acknowledge the stress, accept it as part of life, and move forward with clarity and focus. This shift in perspective can have profound effects on your overall well-being. People who practice mindfulness regularly often report feeling more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of handling life's ups and downs. And this makes sense when we consider the science behind it. When you practice mindfulness, you're essentially rewiring your brain to be less reactive to stress. As we discussed earlier, mindfulness strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, while reducing activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This means that over time, you become better at managing stress and less likely to be thrown off course by life's inevitable challenges. One of the most powerful ways to build stress resilience through mindfulness is by practicing acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation or giving up. It means acknowledging reality as it is without trying to change it or fight against it. Often, our suffering comes not from the situation itself but from our resistance to it. We want things to be different than they are, and this creates a lot of unnecessary stress. But when we practice acceptance, we let go of the struggle and allow ourselves to be with what is. This doesn't mean we don't take action to improve our situation, but it means we approach life with a sense of calm and clarity, rather than getting caught up in frustration or resistance. Imagine you're stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. You feel the stress rising, your heart starts to race, and your mind starts spinning with all the things that could go wrong if you're late. In this moment, you have two choices. You can resist the situation, wishing the traffic would clear, getting more and more frustrated with each passing minute. Or you can practice acceptance. You can acknowledge that you're stuck in traffic, that there's nothing you can do to change it, and that getting upset won't make the cars move any faster. By accepting the situation as it is, you free yourself from the mental and emotional turmoil that comes from resisting reality. You might even use the time in traffic to practice mindful breathing, bringing your attention to the present moment and finding a sense of calm amidst the chaos. This practice of acceptance can be applied to any area of life, whether it's dealing with a difficult colleague, managing a health issue, or navigating a personal loss. It doesn't mean you stop caring or become passive. It means you stop fighting reality. You acknowledge what's happening and respond to it with wisdom and clarity, rather than reacting out of frustration or fear. Over time, this practice can help you develop a deep sense of peace and resilience, even in the face of life's most difficult challenges. As you continue to develop your mindfulness practice, you may also notice a shift in your relationship with time. In today's fast-paced world, many of us feel like we're constantly racing against the clock. We never seem to have enough time to get everything done, and this creates a sense of pressure and urgency that can be overwhelming. But mindfulness invites us to take a different approach to time, one that's rooted in the present moment rather than in the past or future. When you're fully present in the moment, time seems to slow down. Instead of rushing through tasks or constantly thinking about what's next, you can fully immerse yourself in whatever you're doing. This doesn't mean you become less productive. On the contrary, when you're mindful, you're often more focused and efficient because you're not distracted by thoughts about the past or future. you're able to give your full attention to the task at hand, and as a result, you may find that you're able to complete tasks more quickly and with greater ease. Mindfulness also helps you shift your focus from doing to being. In our culture, we place a lot of value on doing, achieving, accomplishing, checking things off our to-do lists. But this constant drive to do more can leave us feeling burned out and disconnected from ourselves. Mindfulness reminds us that we don't always have to be doing something. Sometimes, the most valuable thing we can do is simply be present with ourselves and our surroundings. Take a moment to think about how you spend your day. How much of your time is spent in doing mode, rushing from one task to the next, checking off items on your to-do list, feeling like you're always behind? And how much time do you spend in being mode? The things that once felt urgent or important may no longer hold the same weight, and you may find yourself drawn to spend more time on the things that truly matter to you. Whether that's spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing a creative passion, or simply taking time for self-care. Mindfulness helps you tune into your inner wisdom, guiding you toward what's most meaningful in your life. This shift in priorities is part of a larger transformation that occurs as you cultivate mindfulness. You begin to move away from a life that's driven by external expectations, what society, your job, or other people expect of you, and toward a life that's aligned with your true values and desires. You start to live from a place of authenticity rather than trying to fit into someone else's idea of success or happiness. And in doing so, you may find that your life becomes richer, more fulfilling, and more aligned with who you truly are. As you move through this transformation, you may also find that mindfulness deepens your sense of purpose. Many of us go through life searching for meaning, wondering what our purpose is and how we can live in a way that feels meaningful. Mindfulness doesn't give you all the answers, but it helps you connect with your inner wisdom, guiding you toward a life that feels purposeful and fulfilling. When you're fully present in each moment, you're more attuned to the things that bring you joy, passion, and a sense of connection. You're able to listen to your inner voice rather than being swayed by external pressures or distractions. This sense of purpose doesn't have to be tied to a specific job or role. It's about how you live each day, how you show up for yourself and others, how you engage with the world, and how you align your actions with your values. It's about living with intention, rather than just going through the motions. And when you live with intention, each moment becomes an opportunity to create meaning and to contribute to something larger than yourself. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll begin to see that life is not something that's happening to you. It's something that you're actively creating moment by moment. Each thought, each action, each decision is a choice, and mindfulness helps you make those choices with greater awareness and intention. Whether it's how you spend your time, how you respond to challenges, or how you engage with the people in your life, mindfulness gives you the tools to live more consciously and more fully. As you continue to deepen your mindfulness practice, one of the most transformative shifts you may notice is how it affects your relationships. Human connection is fundamental to our well-being, yet in today's hyper-connected digital age, we often find ourselves more distracted and disengaged from the people around us. Whether it's friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers we meet in passing, our interactions often feel rushed, superficial, or clouded by the distractions of modern life. But mindfulness offers a way to be more present, more compassionate, and more attuned to the people in our lives. When was the last time you had a conversation where you were fully present, really listening to the other person without distractions or thinking about what you were going to say next? It's rare, isn't it? Often, we're only half listening, our minds elsewhere, busy with our own thoughts or the distractions around us. But when we practice mindful listening, we give our full attention to the person we're with. We listen not only to their words but also to the emotions behind those words, the subtle nuances in their tone, and the expressions on their face. Mindful listening is one of the most powerful ways to connect with others. When you listen mindfully, the other person feels heard, truly heard, and that fosters a deep sense of trust and connection. It's a way of saying, "I see you, I'm here with you, and I value what you're saying." This kind of deep listening is rare in today's world, where conversations are often interrupted by phone notifications, multitasking, or the rush to get to the next point. But when you practice mindful listening, You bring a sense of presence and calm to your interactions, creating space for more meaningful and authentic connections. Let's try a simple mindful listening exercise. Your conversations. Not only will the other person feel more connected to you, but you'll also find that you feel more grounded and present in the interaction. Mindful listening helps you slow down, breathe, and fully engage with the person in front of you, rather than rushing through the conversation or thinking about what you need to do next. This deep listening also cultivates empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Empathy is a vital part of human connection, but it's often difficult to access when we're distracted or preoccupied with our own thoughts and worries. Mindfulness helps us step outside of ourselves and truly see the other person's perspective. When we listen mindfully, we're not just hearing words, we're tuning into the emotions, needs, and experiences behind those words. This deeper understanding fosters compassion and helps us respond with kindness and care, even in difficult or challenging situations. Empathy doesn't just benefit the other person, it also enriches our own experience. When we approach others with empathy and compassion, we create deeper, more meaningful connections. We feel more aligned with the people around us, and this sense of connection brings a profound sense of fulfillment and joy. Human beings are wired for connection, and when we practice mindfulness, we open ourselves up to the richness of those connections, both in our personal relationships and in our broader interactions with the world. Another powerful way to cultivate mindfulness in relationships is by practicing gratitude. Often, we take the people in our lives for granted, especially those we see every day. We get caught up in the business of life, and we forget to appreciate the small acts of kindness, love, and support that surround us. But when we practice gratitude, we begin to notice these moments more fully, and we become more aware of how much we have to be thankful for. Gratitude is a simple yet profound practice that can dramatically shift how we experience our relationships. The next time you're with someone you care about, take a moment to silently appreciate them. Notice the qualities you admire in them, the ways they contribute to your life, and the things they do, big or small, that bring joy or comfort to your day. This practice doesn't have to be shared aloud, though it can be. But simply recognizing and appreciating the people around you can help cultivate a deeper sense of connection and warmth in your relationships. You can also try keeping a gratitude journal specifically for your relationships. Each day, take a few moments to write down something you're grateful for in your interactions with others. It could be as simple as a kind word from a friend, a thoughtful gesture from a colleague, or a shared laugh with a family member. By focusing on the positive aspects of your relationships, you're training your brain to notice and appreciate the good, which can help strengthen your bonds and create a more positive, supportive environment in your personal and professional life. Mindfulness also helps us navigate the inevitable challenges and conflicts that arise in relationships. No matter how close we are to someone, there will be times when misunderstandings, disagreements, or hurt feelings occur. In these moments, it's easy to react impulsively, driven by anger, frustration, or fear. But mindfulness invites us to pause, take a step back, and respond with intention rather than reactivity. When you find yourself in a conflict with someone, take a moment to breathe and ground yourself in the present. Notice how your body feels. Are you tense, angry, or anxious? Simply acknowledging these feelings can help you create some distance between the emotion and the reaction. Instead of lashing out or withdrawing, you can choose to respond in a way that's aligned with your values and intentions. For example, if you're in a disagreement with a friend or partner, mindfulness can help you communicate more effectively by allowing you to express your feelings calmly and clearly, without getting caught up in the heat of the moment. Instead of blaming or criticizing the other person, you can focus on how you're feeling and what you need, which opens the door for more constructive dialogue and resolution. This kind of mindful communication can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth and understanding, rather than creating division or resentment. Mindfulness also helps us practice forgiveness, both toward others and ourselves. In relationships, it's inevitable that we will hurt or disappoint each other from time to time. But holding on to grudges or resentment only creates more suffering for both ourselves and the people we care about. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to let go of these negative feelings, not by condoning harmful behavior, but by choosing to release the anger or hurt that's keeping us stuck. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It's a way of freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of the past. And when we forgive others, we create space for healing and reconciliation in our relationships. This doesn't mean we forget what happened or ignore our feelings, but it does mean that we choose to move forward with compassion and understanding, rather than holding on to the pain. Mindfulness also invites us to practice self-forgiveness, which is often one of the hardest things to do. We can be incredibly harsh with ourselves, especially when we make mistakes or fall short of our own expectations. But mindfulness teaches us that we are human, and being human means being imperfect. When we practice self-compassion, we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow without judgment or self-criticism. The next time you find yourself stuck in self-blame or guilt, take a moment to pause and breathe. Notice the thoughts running through your mind. Are you being overly critical of yourself? Are you expecting perfection? Gently remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes and that you're doing the best you can. This simple act of self-compassion can help release the weight of guilt or shame and allow you to move forward with a sense of peace and self-acceptance. Mindfulness doesn't just transform our relationships with others, it also transforms our relationship with ourselves. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll begin to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and self-compassion. You'll become more attuned to your own thoughts, feelings, and needs, and you'll learn to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you offer to others. This self-awareness is a key part of living a mindful life. It allows you to recognize when you're feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, and to respond to those feelings with care and compassion. Instead of pushing yourself to keep going or ignoring your own needs, you can take the time to rest, recharge, and care for yourself. Mindfulness helps you cultivate a sense of balance and well-being, even in the midst of life's challenges. Self-compassion is especially important in today's world, where we often feel pressure to be perfect, to always be productive, successful, and in control. But the truth is, life is messy, and we're all doing the best we can. When we practice self-compassion, we give ourselves permission to be human. We acknowledge that we have limits, that we will make mistakes, and that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and acceptance. As you continue your mindfulness journey, you may find that this sense of self-compassion deepens your overall experience of life. You'll begin to let go of the need to constantly prove yourself or meet external expectations. Instead, you'll focus on what truly matters to you, your values, your passions, and your relationships. You'll learn to live in a way that feels authentic and aligned with who you are, rather than constantly striving to meet someone else's idea of success or happiness. This shift toward authenticity is one of the most profound gifts of mindfulness. It frees you from the pressures of comparison and competition, allowing you to embrace your unique path and live a life that feels true to you. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, mindfulness helps you connect with your own inner wisdom and intuition, guiding you toward a life that's meaningful, fulfilling, and aligned with your deepest values. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll likely discover that it's not about reaching some final destination or achieving a state of constant peace or happiness. Instead, mindfulness is a lifelong journey, a way of being in the world that allows you to fully experience life, moment by moment. It's about embracing the highs and lows, the joys and challenges, with presence, acceptance, and compassion. This journey is not always easy, but it's deeply rewarding. As you walk this path, you'll find that mindfulness helps you navigate the complexities of life with greater ease, clarity, and resilience. You'll learn to find peace in the present moment, even in the midst of uncertainty, and you'll discover that true happiness and fulfillment come not from external achievements or possessions, but from within. As you continue to deepen your mindfulness practice, you may begin to notice subtle but powerful shifts in how you move through the world. One of the most remarkable transformations that mindfulness offers is the ability to live with greater intentionality. In our modern world, where distractions abound and the pace of life often feels relentless, it's easy to get caught up in a cycle of doing, constantly moving from one task to the next, barely pausing to take a breath. We get swept up in the demands of work, family, social obligations, and the ever-present lure of technology. And before we know it, our days blur together in a haze of business. But mindfulness invites us to live differently. It invites us to step off the treadmill of constant doing and to live with a greater sense of purpose and awareness. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to notice how often we operate on autopilot, moving through our days out of habit or obligation, without really thinking about why we're doing what we're doing. Mindfulness helps us break free from this autopilot mode by bringing us back to the present moment, allowing us to make conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy. This shift from autopilot to intentionality is one of the most profound gifts of mindfulness. It helps us reconnect with our values, passions, and desires, and it empowers us to live in a way that feels aligned with who we truly are. Instead of simply reacting to the demands and expectations of others, we can begin to ask ourselves, what do I want to create in my life? How do I want to spend my time? What brings me joy, fulfillment, and a sense of meaning? One of the most powerful tools for cultivating intentionality in your life is the practice of setting mindful intentions. Intentions are different from goals. While goals are focused on achieving a specific outcome, like getting a promotion, losing weight, or completing a project, intentions are about how you want to show up in the world. They're about the qualities you want to embody, the values you want to live by, and the kind of energy you want to bring into your daily life. For example, instead of setting a goal to be more productive, you might set an intention to bring focus and presence to everything I do. Instead of setting a goal to lose 10 pounds, you might set an intention to nurture my body with kindness and care. These intentions are less about achieving a specific result and more about aligning with your deeper values and desires. And the beauty of setting intentions is that they can be practiced in every moment, no matter what you're doing. The next time you start your day, take a few moments to set a mindful intention. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how do I want to show up today? What qualities do I want to embody? What's most important to me in this moment? As you reflect on these questions, notice what arises for you. Maybe you feel called to bring more patience, kindness, or compassion into your day. Maybe you want to practice greater presence and focus in your work or bring a sense of joy and playfulness to your interactions with others. Whatever intention feels most meaningful to you, hold it in your mind and heart as you move through your day. Setting a mindful intention at the start of the day helps ground you in your values and gives you a sense of direction, even in the midst of a busy or unpredictable schedule. It helps you stay connected to what matters most, so that you can navigate the challenges and distractions of the day with greater clarity and purpose. Living with intention doesn't mean that every moment of your life needs to be perfectly planned, or that you always have to be working towards some grand vision. In fact, part of living mindfully is learning to let go of the need to control everything and to embrace the flow of life as it unfolds. But when you live with intention, you bring a sense of presence and awareness to each moment, and this helps you create a life that feels more aligned with your true self. Mindfulness also invites us to live with greater authenticity. In today's world, where social media and societal pressures often encourage us to present a polished, curated version of ourselves, it can be easy to lose touch with who we really are. We get caught up in trying to fit in, trying to meet other people's expectations, or trying to be someone we think we should be. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to peel back these layers of conditioning and reconnect with our authentic selves. Authenticity is about showing up as who you truly are, without the need to pretend or put on a mask. It's about being honest with yourself and others about your thoughts, feelings, and desires. It's about embracing your unique qualities and gifts, even if they don't fit into society's narrow definitions of success or beauty. And most importantly, it's about living in a way that feels true to you, rather than constantly striving to meet someone else's standards or expectations. As you practice mindfulness, you'll start to notice when you're acting out of alignment with your authentic self. Maybe you say yes to something when you really want to say no, or maybe you find yourself comparing your life to others and feeling like you're not measuring up. These moments of self-awareness are opportunities to course correct, to realign with your values, and to make choices that feel more authentic to who you are. For example, the next time you're faced with a decision, Whether it's a big life choice or a small, everyday action, take a moment to pause and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Does this feel true to me? Am I doing this because it's what I really want, or am I doing it because I feel pressure to conform to someone else's expectations? By taking the time to reflect on these questions, you can begin to make choices that are more authentic and true to who you are, rather than being driven by external pressures or conditioning. Living authentically also means embracing vulnerability. In a culture that often values perfection and invulnerability, it can be scary to show up as our imperfect, messy, and fully human selves. But mindfulness teaches us that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for deeper connections, greater creativity, and more meaningful experiences. We give ourselves permission to take risks, to try new things, and to grow, even if that means we might fail or make mistakes along the way. Vulnerability is also an essential part of self-compassion. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're acknowledging that we're human, that we don't have all the answers, that we'll sometimes make mistakes, and that we're always learning and growing. This kind of self-acceptance is at the heart of mindfulness. It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and embracing the reality of who we are in all our complexity and beauty. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll find that it becomes easier to live authentically. You'll become more attuned to your inner wisdom, and you'll begin to trust yourself more fully. You'll feel more confident in making choices that align with your values, even if they go against the grain of what society expects. And you'll start to experience a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that you're living in a way that feels true to who you are. Mindfulness also invites us to live with greater gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful practices for cultivating joy, contentment, and a sense of abundance in our lives. In a world that often encourages us to focus on what we lack, whether it's material possessions, achievements, or external validation, gratitude helps us shift our focus to what we already have. It reminds us that, even in the midst of challenges or difficulties, there is always something to be grateful for. When you practice gratitude, you're training your brain to look for the good in your life. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to notice the small moments of joy, connection, and beauty that are often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Gratitude doesn't have to be reserved for big, life-changing events. It can be found in the simplest of things: a warm cup of coffee in the morning, the sound of rain on the roof, a kind word from a friend, or the feeling of the sun on your skin. One powerful way to cultivate gratitude is through a daily gratitude practice. Each day, take a few moments to reflect on what you're grateful for. You can do this in a journal by writing down 3 things you're grateful for, or simply by taking a quiet moment to reflect on the blessings in your life. As you practice, try to be specific. Rather than simply saying, "I'm grateful for my family," you might say, "I'm grateful for the way my partner made me laugh today." Or, "I'm grateful for the hug my child gave me when I was feeling stressed." The more specific you are, the more deeply you'll feel the sense of gratitude. And over time, this practice can have a profound impact on your mental and emotional well-being. Research has shown that gratitude not only boosts happiness and life satisfaction, but it also improves physical health, strengthens relationships, and reduces stress. It's a simple but powerful way to shift your perspective and cultivate a sense of joy and contentment, even in the midst of life's challenges. Gratitude also helps us cultivate a sense of abundance. In a culture that often focuses on scarcity, the idea that there's never enough time, money, or success, gratitude reminds us that we already have enough. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, and this creates a sense of abundance that can transform how we experience life. When we practice gratitude, we begin to see that there is more than enough love, joy, and connection to go around, and we no longer feel the need to constantly strive for more. This sense of abundance is deeply liberating. It frees us from the pressure to constantly achieve, acquire, or prove ourselves. Instead, we can relax into the present moment, knowing that we are already enough just as we are. And when we live from this place of abundance, we naturally attract more of the things that bring us joy, connection, and fulfillment. As you continue to practice mindfulness and gratitude, you'll begin to notice that life feels richer, more vibrant, and more meaningful. You'll find joy in the simple, everyday moments, and you'll develop a deeper appreciation for the people, experiences, and opportunities that make up your life. This shift in perspective doesn't mean that challenges or difficulties will disappear, but it does mean that you'll be better equipped to handle them with grace, resilience, and a sense of inner peace. Mindfulness also helps us cultivate a sense of purpose. Many of us spend our lives searching for meaning, wondering what our purpose is and how we can live in a way that feels meaningful and fulfilling. Mindfulness doesn't provide all the answers, but it does help us connect with our inner wisdom, guiding us toward a life that feels purposeful and aligned with our deepest values. Purpose isn't about finding one grand mission or calling that will define your entire life. It's about how you show up in each moment, how you engage with the world around you, and how you align your actions with what matters most to you. Purpose can be found in the smallest of actions: how you treat others, how you care for yourself, and how you contribute to your community. It's about living with intention, rather than simply going through the motions. As you practice mindfulness, you'll begin to notice the moments that bring you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Maybe it's in the work you do, the relationship you nurture, or the ways you contribute to the well-being of others. Maybe it's in the quiet moments of reflection, when you feel connected to something greater than yourself. Whatever it is, mindfulness helps you tune into these moments and live with greater awareness of what truly matters to you. Over time, this practice of living with purpose can bring a deep sense of meaning and fulfillment to your life. You'll find that even in the midst of challenges or uncertainty, you have a sense of direction and clarity, because you're living in alignment with your values. And this sense of purpose will guide you, not only in the big decisions of life, but also in the small, everyday choices that shape who you are and how you experience the world.